So game companies don't want to keep their titles available on each new console. And they don't like pirates of pirate in their games. While introducing the re-release console. Instead of having to go through the insanely difficult process of putting an old game on a new disc, they could instead take the old hardware and pre-existing specs for discs and cartridges and such and reproduce those very cheaply since old tech is decades old. Honestly, I don't know which option would be more economical for the company. Maybe the cheap old technology isn't as cheap as just porting the game to a new console, but there's definitely some merits to the idea. I mean, they re-release games, why wouldn't they re-release consoles too? Well, I know this much for a fact. Some people want to play old games on the original hardware. Collectors. What the? For old and new gamers alike, the re-release console allows them to purchase a completely new, undamaged copy of the game. Brand new, no damage, factory fresh, and all the profits will be placed in the pockets of the original developers, as opposed to some greedy retro game sellers. One of my least favorite things I run into while collecting old video games is running into damaged or fake copies. Unless you spend a mortgage payment on a 20-year-old video game, you're not getting a sealed copy. Used it is then. But used games come with the caveat of being owned by someone who isn't you. I may take good care of my games, but Stu McVidiotica from Kansas City, Missouri felt like dropping the disc into a vat of ketchup and razor blades one time, so his copy just won't do. It works just fine apparently, but what self-respecting individual would take that? And it isn't just Stu. Out of the many millions of copies manufactured back in the day, you can bet that around half of the copies got into the hands of some Stu and are no longer in commission. Don't believe the Wikipedia numbers. I broke at least 2 3DSs back in the day, and it wasn't just me. It was on accident, I swear, dude. If I knew how much they'd be charging for those things, I would not have broken them. Then we get people like Sue McShoppington, who make cheaply reproduced copies of perfectly fine games and ruin them with their cheapness. Then they have the audacity to act like they're real and charge the inflated prices for them. Oh, and the market price for these 20-year-old games? Ridiculous! They are both old in the sense that the games were made a long time ago and may not stack up to the polish of a modern title and thus should have depreciated in value, and they are old in the sense that they were manufactured a long time ago and have gone through significant wear, tear, and decay. We got retro game companies like DK Junior Youngies charging the most deranged prices I've ever seen. If you want a copy that has the manual, or even just the case, or even just is in good condition, you gotta pay extra for each of those things. These games are going for more than any modern title that I've ever seen. Imagine if all the copies back in the day were sold for this kind of money. The companies would have retired. What I'm trying to say is that I would rather pay the original developers over some nightmare situation. The system of overpriced secondhand games. The old technology could be reproduced by the company for a lot cheaper than it ever could because technology depreciates in value, unlike the secondhand copies. I guess they never taught that to Joseph. That way we get an originally manufactured copy of high quality, brand new, unused by anyone else, affordable. Developers will get reasonable compensation for their work, and the greedier than greedy retro game sellers can get their just desserts and be forced to lower their prices to compete or die in a hole. Thank you for watching. I hope you agreed. Please subscribe to help get those original developers to notice and start manufacturing those re-release consoles.